I played this game for over 50 hours. Was it worth it? I mean, I guess. There's a lot to talk about with this game, and that's what this video is for. So let's talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows. We'll start nice and simple and talk about the story. We're following two main protagonists with Yasuke, a former slave turned samurai thanks to the Emperor Oda Nobunaga, and Niobe, a shinobi on her path of vengeance for her father. I'm gonna struggle with some of these names, but that's okay. The intro to the game has you play as Yasuke for a small amount of time as you raid the clan of the Iga, but then focuses on Niobe, who is part of the Iga clan, and her father is killed during the raid by a group of warriors called the Shinbakufu, and they stole a sacred box from Niobe. And that's basically the whole plot right there. You're trying to kill all 12 members of that clan. The first act took me about 15 hours to fully do, and you could only play as Niobe during that. And you kill 3 Shinbakufu members. Act 2, on the other hand, took me about 30 hours or so, but it's one you do at your own pace, and you need to kill 7 more members of the Shinbakufu. But you do get to play as Yasuke and Niobe, and you can switch whenever you want. And the third act has you deal with the last 2 members, along with wrapping up some of the lore you learn on both protagonists. I felt the structure was fine, it was executed well, and I appreciated really being able to do it at my own pace. I do have a big complaint at the end of the story, but I'll save that for the part of the video where I complain. Sorry, it's not all complaining, I do have some positive things to say about this game. The biggest thing to talk about and give my unwarranted opinion on, hey, you clicked on the video, so I guess it is somewhat warranted, are the characters, Yasuke and Niobe. They both have completely separate playstyles, which did help the game in the long run, I'd say, but also could make it kind of frustrating in other areas. We'll go over Niobe first. She feels like a more traditional Assassin's Creed character who's based around stealth, and does not excel in combat versus a big group of enemies. But that didn't stop me from fighting said big group of enemies multiple times, but it's from me sucking at stealth. Now Yasuke, on the other hand, is a big samurai who excels in combat and will easily decimate wave after wave of enemies. Okay, but they both have an in-depth skill tree with each weapon and character as a whole improving. But I'll be honest, some of the upgrades just feel kinda boring. Like 2% extra damage, I know there's a lot of things to upgrade, but that just feels kinda useless. I've only played one other Assassin's Creed game with Brotherhood, but I have seen footage from probably every game in the franchise, and it felt like from newer games, mostly Valhalla's I'll say, they left the traditional stealth behind in favor of, well, this. This is still fine, but this is Assassin's Creed. People want to be stealthy, but people also want to be a f***ing tank that feels unstoppable. And I like that you can easily pick which playstyle you want to play more of. Some missions will require you to be a certain character, but for 95% of my playtime, I had the free will of choosing. And I tried to balance it out as much as I could with the main story, but outside the story, it could slightly feel repetitive after doing the same thing 100 times. Assassin's Creed Shadows has a crazy, and I mean a crazy amount of content, and a huge map. Like, what the hell? How am I supposed to cover all this? After 50 hours, I still have so much of the map not even visited, but the act of filling out the map can feel quite mundane after a certain amount of time. Maybe it was my method of doing it, but the entire game is filled with viewpoints. They're a tradition in Assassin's Creed. They allow for fast travel, and when you get to the top of one, you get a nice view of the entire world. And I'll just say this game is stunning. It looks great. Regardless of how you feel about gameplay, I hope you can admit that. This is a good looking game. And I was playing this on Series X, not even PC. But once you do this with a viewpoint, you can fast travel to it if you're not in combat. That's fine. But so many viewpoints are tied into some small city or village that is filled with enemies, and if they see you, well, they're gonna try to kill you. All you need to do is be stealthy and not get caught and potentially kill every single enemy. That's what you should do. But I would just run to the top of wherever I needed to go to unlock fast travel, because killing every enemy in these areas could take a very long time, and sometimes I just wanted to unlock the fast travel point.
Yeah, but why don't you just run in with Yasuke for easier combat?
That's what someone might say, and you could do that and kill everyone quite easily. Most of these areas have samurais in them, and killing them gives you mastery points for upgrades, so you should fight them. But Yasuke can't climb any terrain for the life of him. He can fight, but he will not be able to access the viewpoint 95% of the time, which makes sense, he's a samurai. But it means I need to switch to Niobe for easy traversal, and after a while it was kind of just, okay, run in, run away, maybe fast travel here as Yasuke in the future and kill everybody. Niobe, she can do these viewpoints just fine. She can assassinate most enemies in one hit, and the right upgrades, she can kill a lot of enemies with her tools easily, but it just takes so long, and if you don't have instant assassinations on, you won't be able to instantly kill some enemies even if they don't see you. So going for a kill on a somewhat larger enemy means you get caught instantly, and now you're fighting with a character who will always die in a couple hits since enemies are always the exact same level as you. You can turn on instant kills with assassinations regardless of enemy size to make this more manageable, and I did this. And once that was on, these areas were much more fun to sneak around in as Niobe. My point is, this game has a lot of viewpoints, and while it's fun to easily fast travel, the unlock method could bore you after doing it 56 times. But while you go and find all these viewpoints, there is one thing the game never runs out of, and it's optional content. Some of it is a lot more vital than others, but there is so much here. First, let's talk about base building. I'm not sure if other games in this series have this, but you have a hideout in this game where all your allies that you recruit hang out. You can construct and upgrade tons of buildings that enhance the game or your character. It's a bit more in depth than you'd expect, but I have to be completely honest here, I did not care about this at all. Like, it's okay. Upgrading the main buildings is tied to helping improve your weapons with a forge or unlocking more scouts who can help you figure out where objectives are, but I didn't care about all the cosmetics you require, where the buildings went, or any of that. I wish I could have just upgraded my gear on a different menu without having to travel here, but the hideout to me was just whatever. But then you have all the different mission types. You have contracts, which give you resources or mon, the main currency, but then you have temples, kofus, katas, and kujimari, which are all different types of missions that give you knowledge points as rewards. These felt a little more necessary to do since most of the skill tree was locked behind having a certain knowledge rank. A lot of these knowledge-based missions were just a few minutes long, so if you saw them, you just quickly get them done for an easy knowledge point. But some of the temples suffered the same way that viewpoints did, where they were inside an area where enemies killed you on sight, making it a tad annoying to collect whatever you needed to collect. Once I got my knowledge rank maxed out for the skill tree, I kind of ignored all of these missions. And that's one of the main problems for me with this game. You just get bored. It looks great, the combat is super fun initially, and it feels incredible, but it becomes so tedious that the first 15 hours are superb, but the next 25 plus hours feel more sloggy, which turns the experience more negative. And by the time you're done with the game, if you even get that far, it's just a meh experience. And I can understand most people not wanting to waste time on a meh experience. This is the objective board, and this thing overwhelmed me to hell while playing. More and more objectives just kept on popping up, and all the missions are kind of the exact same thing when you boil it down. 4 or 5 of these mission boards just want you to go find some member of some weird group and kill them. You can use scouts to find them on the map easier, but after doing it a few times, it's like, why even bother? The Shinbakufu, the main enemies to kill, also suffered with the missions feeling so alike, just in different environments really. You go talk to this person who knew one of the members you're after, they tell you to retrieve an item or talk to another person, or kill somebody. You do that, they say they're ready to find them, then you have an army you need to kill, and then you kill them. Usually being an hour and a half long process for each one if you watch all the cutscenes. After doing it a few times, it's just like, let's get it over with. Assassin's Creed Shadows suffers heavily in my eyes with feeling bloated as a game. The map is huge and beautiful, but when you condense it, it's all just the same. But that is not my biggest complaint. My biggest complaint came from the very end of this game. The last section of the game has you doing personal journeys to fill in lore on Yasuke and Niobe. Yasuke's end missions were fine. He's on a path of finding his mother's killer, and seeing that backstory on how he arrived in Japan and grew up and became a samurai, it was honestly nice. But Niobe's is where I get annoyed. The very beginning of the game, Niobe loses her father and a valuable box that she promises to get back. And while playing, you learn of a hidden group of assassins her mother was a part of and killed. But then you learn her mother very much could be alive. And I believe the epilogue would be finding her mother, or finding out her fate really. But no, the game decided to have that be extra DLC. Or I assume it did because it looked like we were about to go on a mission and then
land remains divided.
okay, maybe we do get it.
You will protect its people.
Oh, son of a bitch. Alright, well, I guess that's the game. What a load of bullshit if you ask me. I didn't even touch on the fact that this game has microtransactions in it. Why the hell does any single player experience need this shit? But you don't even have the audacity to finish the story, but lock it behind a paywall? I already paid $90 for this game, for God's sakes. At least finish the story. Ubisoft already has a whole website for the DLC immediately after Shadows released, and based off the description of it, it won't even cover the fate of Naoe's mother. Is it just gonna leave us on a cliffhanger forever? I'm annoyed that this game costs so much, but you already have a paid DLC planned if you didn't pre-order the game. And the way the main story ended will leave a bad taste in my mouth towards Ubisoft again. I liked aspects of this game as a whole. The main protagonists are nice, the allies you recruit have okay backstories to them, and the combat at first wasn't too annoying. Turning on instant assassinations helped keep it fun as enemies got stronger, but the cliffhanger, microtransactions, bloated map with way too many missions that all feel the same, a useless hideout that feels like it was just added to add content, and a bunch of useless items you can find in the overworld for the hideout, all of this makes it really hard to justify buying this game, which is a shame because I was really hopeful it would be more than just an okay product. Either way, that's all I've got to say about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.